Hey guys, Magnus, Robert here, bringing you another video, and of course we're doing my top 10 worst characters of 2019. I want to get these all out before March comes along, so we just gotta do this, and then we got best buildings and worst buildings, but I haven't even started doing that list yet. I kind of have my top 5 for buildings, but I need to get the rest, and it's just a pain because there's the most amount of things there are as buildings. Actually, I think there might be more characters. I'm not even sure, if there's more characters or more buildings this year, but it tends to be buildings. But it's about the characters I think stand out more than buildings, so it's easier to do. So yeah, this is my worst. So before I get into the top 10, I do want to do a few dishonorable mentions, I should say. I tried my best to kind of go across all the events, but there is one event in particular that just stands out to me, and I think you guys will know what it is. And I don't like doing it because in some ways, I understand that, yeah, the characters, they're not skins, but I strongly do believe, and I at least now they're being consistent, that's fair enough, but I still believe that they should be skins, and I really wish that they would never have started this trend all that time ago when they did it. But anyway, let's get into it. So we'll do the dishonorable mentions first. Philip Heflin, I thought he was probably the weaker character in the Christmas update. But, I mean, he's not terrible, so he didn't make the list. Yeah, I just think he's just a bit bland. There's nothing really much to him, so I thought I'd give him a dishonorable mention, but he certainly isn't so bad that he makes the list. Young Burns, I quite like this one in some ways, but again, the whole character skin thing, to me, just means that I have to, I don't know, I just don't like, that's like the one aspect I hate about it. And, yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? It's here, it's not, but I haven't obviously put it too far up the list. So there you go. It's just on the dishonorable mention. And then we just have, I guess, a massive dishonorable mention. This is for 4 characters, but there's no point me just going in between them. So it's Baby Homer, Baby Lisa, Baby Bart, and Baby Marge. So I'll just kind of show a slideshow of all of them whilst I talk about them all. The reason why I put these as dishonorable and they're not actually on the list, I changed this only recently. And the main reason is because I think, for what they are, they're prizes, they're free, you don't have to pay any money, you don't have to pay any real things, you have to earn them of course, but they don't cost any donuts, and I think for that reason I don't want to put them on the list. And I think these ones are good. Overall, I think the worst out of them is probably Lisa and Marge. I think the best is Homer and Bart, although I think Marge is way better than Lisa. I think I would probably say it goes Bart, Homer, Marge, and then Lisa is the worst. And I did have Lisa as number 10 originally, but then I swapped it around. I think I don't want to hate on these guys too much because I think they made the event. They do kind of make the event. They are the 4 kind of main Simpsons characters who aren't obviously babies. The main Simpsons family, and the fact that they were prizes and they essentially made the structure of the event very well as well, because obviously you earned 1 each act, and of course there's 4 of them. Maggie doesn't count because she's already a baby, so yeah, overall, I like them, okay? I still can't neglect the fact that they should be skins. I will always believe that when it comes to these kind of younger or older versions of characters. It's just what I believe. So, yeah, although I'm not thrilled with them being that, I still can appreciate them for what they are. They have some really cool animations. They do have some good tasks as well. But I just think for that reason alone, they don't quite... They make the dishonorable mention, but I will say that I did find them a bit like lackluster as well. Like they're very lackluster in terms of keeping that event afloat, and I think that entire event was okay. Like obviously, I think Game of Games is worse, but it wasn't a great event, and I think the babies are a real reason of that. It's just they didn't really hold it up, and also they're not really babies either. They're more toddlers. But yeah. That's it for the Simpsons babies. So yeah, of course, Baby Marge, Baby Homer, Baby Lisa, and Baby Bart. But they're all dishonorable mentions. They haven't made my top 10 worst list. So lucky for them. But anyway, now we will get onto the list properly. So, number 10 is Mr. Dirt. Okay, so I was hesitant to put this guy on the list. And the reason why he's so low, Mr. Dirt, is because I do appreciate one thing about this. And that's it comes from the Simpsons game. This is actually something that's kind of so it's actually cross-game platform. Now, we've obviously got stuff from the Simpsons show, we've got stuff from the movie. This is the very first and only thing we've gotten from the Simpsons game. We also got obviously the Krusty Land stuff, which is from the real life Krusty Land in real life and like the real life map. So yeah, they do take they kind of cross-platform stuff. They've done it a few times, to be fair. But yeah, it's the first time we got something from the game, and I do think that's opened up a really cool concept. I mean, that means, I presume anyway, it means that we can get stuff from the game in the future. I don't believe he's ever appeared in the show. If he has, then that's a shame, because that means obviously they got it from the show and not the game. But I know that I'm pretty sure he's only appeared in the show, because the wiki only lists him as appearing in the show, in the game. Sorry, not the show. Now, the reason why I put it as number 10 though is I believe it should be a costume. That old thing. I mean, yeah, I can understand why it's not a costume. So that's why I think it's lower down. I think there's more of a case for this not being a costume, unlike a couple of others, which you'll see further up the list. I think this one makes sense to be not a costume in some regards. So, and I appreciate the babies being consistent at least, so that's why they're not on the list while this is. Whereas this could have been a costume, I think, and I think it could have been, yeah, it should have been a costume as well. The other reason is I just don't think it's that great. It's kind of bland. It's kind of boring. There was nothing really eventful about its questline either. I mean, overall, I think it's quite forgettable. I mean, it's cool and all, it's from the Simpsons game, but I think on its own, as it stands alone, it's kind of bland. I mean, if I didn't know that, I would have probably put it further up the list. So I put it as number 10. I think that's fair. So yeah, Mr. Dirt. So the next one on the list is Malicious Crub. So the reason why he's here is just forgettable. I completely forgot we even got him. I don't remember his questline at all, and I read through it, and I can understand why. There wasn't really anything to it, really. I think overall, he's just a bit bland. He was kind of overshadowed by some of the other stuff we got in the Halloween event. So, yeah, I don't think he's the worst thing we've ever got, but yeah, so I put him as number 9. I just think him compared to Mr. Dirt has the whole Simpsons game thing over him, so I put him as number 9. I just don't think he's that great. There you are, Malicious Crub, number 9. Gelatinous Homer is number 8. Yeah, really should be a costume. Now, this is the reason why this definitely should have been a costume. We've had other versions of Homer before. We've had, obviously, we've had the different types of Homer before, but we also had, like, Halloween stuff. So we've got, like, obviously we've got the Mayan Homer and the Witch Marge and these kind of like monster versions of our characters, Werewolf Flanders. So why didn't we get Gelatinous Homer as a costume? Because this should be a costume. Like he actually turns into this in the episode. So it's not like it's a separate character. It is not it's the same character. It's Homer turns into this. So this should be a costume. And that's the reason why I've placed it here. I also don't think it was that eventful. It was kind of lackluster as a prize. I think it was a prize, or was it premium? I don't even remember. I think it was a prize though. I just think it was quite lackluster as well. Not very memorable for such an iconic kind of version of Homer. They didn't really do anything with it. I felt they could have definitely done some more cooler animations, but they didn't. So yeah, overall, I just think it was very meh, and definitely should be a costume. So yeah, it really annoys me. So it's number 8, and I'm tempted to even put it higher, but for now, it's at number 8. Number 7, Martin of the Opera. Yeah, similar thing. I think maybe this could be a costume. I'm not honestly sure if this is like an older version of Martin. I think it may be. But even if that's so, then it really annoys me when they add the kind of costumes before they add the characters. This is kind of like a Hot Flash situation. If they wanted to give us Martin of the Opera, they should have given us an older version of Martin first, and then given us the Martin of the Opera costume. Because now what's going to happen if they add an older version of Martin, we're going to get an older version of Martin and also have the Martin of the Opera thing when it should be a costume. So that's the reason why I think I'm going to have to call this the worst costume. It's the same reasoning as Alice Glick and Hot Flash, and although yes, I would prefer the older version of Martin to be a costume, you know, if they're going to add an older version of Martin, we know that they're going to add them as character. So, and this should be a costume for that said character, which they may or may not add in the future. And for that reason alone, I don't think I'm going to put it too high, because there is a chance that obviously we won't get an older version of Martin, and this is our older version of Martin, and our only older version of Martin. There's a chance of that, but I still think it becomes a little problematic, because it kind of means that in the future that we're going to have two versions of an older Martin. And it's the same situation as the Hot Flash costume, in my opinion, so that's why I've put that as number 7. Number 6 is Blocko Angelica Button. This was such a missed opportunity. Now, Angelica Button is not a massive character, right? They had the chance, and I really love it, right, when they give us obscure costumes for obscure characters. Like, they give us costumes for, like, really obscure and not mainstream Simpsons characters, and I think they really missed an opportunity here to give us this as a costume. Would it have been a great costume? Maybe. It could have been okay. I think the animations for this costume aren't great. Not costume, this character, I should say. But main reason why I think it's one of the worst is because there's nothing. This appeared as like a product placement, well, not product placement, but like a product placement spoof in The Simpsons. So they've created a whole playable character off this. It's really kind of lackluster. And plus, this is premium as well. I just don't think it was worth donuts at all. Very mediocre, like not mediocre, very lackluster, very kind of crappy character. The decoration it came with wasn't great. The animations I don't think were particularly great. The quest line was kind of bad as well. I think overall this was a pretty awful character, and it was a missed opportunity. This could have been a weird, obscure costume, but they decided to make it a character instead, which I don't understand why they're doing this. They seem to be doing this a lot with, versions of characters which should be costumes, but they're just making them characters. And yeah, honestly, I will give Blocko Angelica Button the edge a little bit. I think it looks kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see a Lego character walking around, or a Blocko, as we should call it. But regardless, I think everything else that it has going, it's kind of crappy. So there it is. Teenage Smithers. Yeah, this was a premium thing, and I don't think it deserved to be premium at all. It was pretty awful, and it makes no sense to why it was added in the baby event, considering he's not a baby, he's a teenager. Yeah, I think it would have been alright if Smithers was like Mr. Burns' age, but he's not, so it just doesn't make any sense why they gave us this. I think at least the quest line is a little bit redeemable. It was okay. The building it came with is okay, but I think overall, yeah, I wasn't a fan of this at all. I think it was kind of it was just a crappy character. And like, even if this was a skin, it would be kind of crappy. So all things considered, I just think, yeah, Teenage Smithers, not great. So yeah. Grief Counselor. I mean, look, I can see why people like this character. I just don't think it really is anything. Like, there's nothing to it for me. I just felt it was kind of meh, and I don't even think it looks cool. It looks odd to me. It looks really weirdly designed. Like, and I know, of course, this is partly The Simpsons, but to me it just looks really weird in the town, and I'm kind of confused by it. I don't think his questline is very good. I don't think his animations are that great either. I just think it's a very odd character, and honestly, there's something about it, and I can't put my finger on it, but I just hate it. I hate looking at it in my town. And I know that's a weird justification, but I don't know. There you go, Grief Counselor. I just think it was kind of lackluster, kind of bad. Sorry, Grief Counselor. Baby Mo, Baby Barney, number 3. Yeah, I hate this. I honestly hate these babies. Now, the reason why I kind of had an epiphany, I thought, okay, there's some baby characters which are worse than others, and this was why I placed Baby Marge and Baby Homer and all that. They were always at the bottom of the list, all those babies. But I decided to put them as honorable mentions instead, dishonorable mentions. But these guys, these two, are definitely two of the worst. The reason why is they came with a Gills deal. That Gills deal is kind of crappy. It's a really crappy Gills deal. You get these two characters whose animations are very lazy, their quest line is very lazy, and the decoration they come with is just a rehash of a previous decoration we've already got. So I just think overall they were pretty crappy characters, and I didn't enjoy them at all. I think they were not worth donuts whatsoever. They were not worth the justification of a Gills deal at all. I just think overall very crappy characters. very annoying. Again, they should be costumes, but even if they were costumes, they wouldn't be very great costumes. So that's why I put Barney and Baby Barney and Baby Mo here. So yeah, there you are. Baby Frink is number 2, and the reason why I think Baby Frink is the worst out of all the babies is because what episode does he appear in? He to me, he's the least justified because Frink isn't really a massive character. I think Smithers isn't either, to be fair, but there's just something about Baby Frink. I mean, I didn't like anything. I think the house he comes, obviously the building he comes with is really badly scaled. The character himself is just forgettable. I didn't understand why. This is why I voted him for worst characters. I honestly think he kind of is. Like, what is there to him? There's nothing to him. Like, the questline was really kind of bad as well. The animations aren't great. I just thought it was really poor, to be honest. And the, like, I don't know why. Again, it's coming down to just this weird kind of feeling I have to why he's the worst one out of all of them. But yeah, I think for number 2, Baby Frink is my choice. I just thought that he was, yeah, man, just really lackluster, really kind of boring, and wasn't worth donuts. And again, same thing as Baby Mo and Baby Barney. Yes, he could have been a costume, but even if he was a costume, he wouldn't have been a very good costume at that. So yeah, I'm putting Baby Frink here. Again, weird justification. It's hard to really justify why some of these are, but because it's just like my kind of gut feeling. But yeah, he's number 2. But I'll tell you what is not a gut feeling is my number 1 spot. So can we have that drum roll, please? So number 1 is Bridge Troll Mo. By far the worst. This would have been an awful costume if it was a costume, but it's not. It's a character, and my god, this is the one that definitely doesn't deserve to be a character because it's actually ruining consistency. Now, I'm not 100% sure where this version of Bridge Troll Mo comes from because it looks very different to the Earthrealms game version. I honestly don't know where it comes from exactly, but I will say that if it is from the Earthrealms thing, they've been inconsistent because the Shadow Knight we already have the Shadow Knight for Bart. So this is completely ruined the consistency of what we already have as costumes. But even so, even if it's from a different game, it still should be a costume. Whatever game it's from, or whatever thing it's in the game of games, so I'm presuming it's from a game, it should be a costume because this is keeping up with the consistency of what Tapped Out has established before. And I just think this one annoys me the most because it's Mo. Like, why do we need more Mo doppelgangers? We've got so many already. Well, we haven't so many. But I mean, I'm mainly meaning his family members. But, like, yeah, it was just... I just don't think it should be it should be in costume. And even if it was a costume, it would have been a pretty terrible costume at that. I just think this was definitely the worst thing they could have given us. I think they could have given us the turkey Skinner instead, where Skinner was a turkey in the Earthland realms. Why didn't they just replace that with that? Because that would have been a cool costume or character, whatever the hell they decided to make it. It would have been interesting. Again, I shouldn't think it should have been a character, but I mean, a costume, not a character. But yeah, I just think overall Bridge Troll Mo is honestly the worst in my opinion. So there you have it. That is my top 10 worst. So yeah. Anyway, tell me your thoughts about which you think is the worst. That's my list, but I understand if you obviously have a different opinion. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and tell me your thoughts, and I'll see you next one. Goodbye.